Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing a remote start on a 2009 F150. This is the truck here. It's a semi plug and play setup. It's from Warm Car Now. Here's our kit. Right here, a wiring harness that we're going to have to put in. All the wires are labeled. We got some pretty good videos on it. And then here's our controller that we'll have to plug everything into. I got our instructions over here, so we'll be following this as we install it. I'll be showing you guys how we do it. Alright guys, so we're going to start installing this remote start here, and for the one that I got, you have to have 2 factory keys here. So we got 2 of them here. Be going inside on the driver's side here. We're going to end up having to pull this panel off, the bottom bezel off the steering column, and our OBD2 port, which is right down under here. That's just held on with 2 bolts. You can see one there and one on the other side. So we'll get these panels pulled off. I'll show you how to do that, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to start taking this truck apart now. We're going to pull this panel off first here. It's got 3 7mm bolts. There's one here. I just pulled it out. You can see that here. Let me get some light down here a little bit better. There's one there. I pulled it out. One here in the middle, and then one way down here on the end. Pull those 3 out. This panel will pull down and come off, and then you'll come up here to the steering wheel bezel. There's one right there. Kind of see it. One right there. There's one in this far one over here, and one in this one here. Those ones are a 5.5mm socket. To pull those off, we'll get both these panels off, and I'll show you what it looks like once I get them off. Alright, we got both panels off here. You can see that. Pulled the main one off, and the steering wheel bezel. Once you pull all 3 of the screws, you can see that one goes here, here, and over here. Some little tabs on the sides that hold it together, which you can see right here. As I pulled the top and the bottom off, kind of clip together. Oops, wrong way. Here, they just clip together. And then the top one will pull out. You can see in the front here, it's kind of not lined up very well, but it'll sit just like that, and like that. There, you'll separate it. You can pull the top one out and pull the bottom one out after that. It's not super hard. It doesn't take very much effort. Just be kind of careful with it. It is plastic, so it can break. And then now I'll show you how to start putting in the wiring harness. Alright, next, before we start pulling the ignition harness out of the ignition up there, we're going to undo our OBD2 connector down here. We got to splice into it for our CAN wires, our CAN high and CAN low. Go ahead and pull those guys off. It looks like they are a 7mm as well. So we'll pull this off, get it ran up so we got some more room. We'll run it up inside here. That way we have access to it and we can splice into it. I'll go ahead and show you once I get it off. Alright, I got the OBD2 connector kind of hung down here. Pull it down. We'll have to cut some of that tape off so we can get into our CAN, splice into our CAN high and CAN low wires. I'll show you that when we get there. But for now, we're going to come up to our ignition harness here. We're going to pull this connector out right here. Just push in on this tab like so. And see if I can do it one-handed here. Push in, pull back, it comes right out, and we're basically going to be matching colors. You see we got our white with the orange tracer, we got a yellow with a red tracer, a couple blue wires and a couple purple wires. But we got our instructions, and I will show you which wires these plug into. We'll have to put our taps on there. These are all labeled. You got your starter. Looks like that's the green with the red tracer is your 12-volt power. White with orange tracer is your ignition. And then purple is your accessory. So we'll get all those wired up, and I'll show you what it looks like after we do that. Alright, so to kind of pinch these together, these little wire taps are just 3M wire taps. Put the wire in there like so. Then you take your pliers here on either side and pinch it together until that lock goes through. Now the wire's tapped, it's pinched through. You can add your other connector that'll slip on over the top here. That was already on that wiring harness. Those connections were already made. So that's kind of how that wire tap there works. So I hope that helps when you guys do your install on your own remote start. Alright, we got our wire taps on here. We got our top one here, top one in the back here. That is our accessory. Right below it, blue and white, that is our start. We have our yellow and red. That is our 12-volt supply. And then over here is our ignition, which is our white and orange. Go ahead and plug these guys into it here. I'll get them all hooked up, and then I'll show you the next step after that. Alright, I got the ignition harness all hooked up and then plugged back in. Now we're going to go over here to our immobilizer plug right here. You can see him. I'm just going to disconnect this guy like that. Then on your harness here, you got this guy. There's two little wires here. You're going to plug the vehicle's immobilizer connector into this female one here. Sorry about that. There we go. Alright. We got the ignition harness plugged back in. It's all wired up. I disconnected the immobilizer plug. This goes in right here on this side. You can see right there. Just a little push tab on the end. Push it down and it'll unlock, pull out, and then on your wiring harness you have these two connectors right here. And this female one here, you will plug the vehicle's immobilizer plug from the harness into the female side. Then this side here will go back up into there. So I will show you once I have that all hooked up. We'll go to our next step. Alright, we got the immobilizer all hooked up now. You can see that there. Got it zip tied back there. It's going to run down with the main harness when I'm all done. Now we're going to come down here to our OBD2 port. We're going to cut some of this tape off and we're going to splice into our can high and can low, which should be pins 3 and 11. I'll show you which two wires those are, and then it'll be the two gray wires in your harness here. Those will go into your can high, can low, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I got the tape off here. So pins 3 and 11. These two right here. Kind of hard to see, focus, but The can high is your gray with an orange tracer, and then your can low is the purple with an orange tracer. We'll get our taps put on, and then on your wiring harness here, your gray with a black stripe, if you can see that at all. It's kind of hard to see. This one here, the gray with the black stripe, is can low, and then your other one, solid gray, is can high. So we'll plug those into the taps here in a second, and we'll go from there. All right, we got our can high and can low wired in back here. All plugged in. Now we're gonna come down to our controller here, and we're gonna disconnect all of the connectors out of it. So we're gonna go ahead and pull 20 pin out, just like that. Our data pin, which is this black 4-wire plug. The white can high, can low, and then this red connector here. And then you can see it's got a little program button here on the top. What we're going to do now is hold down that program button, take your 4-pin black data plug, and you're going to insert it into the top of the controller. Wait for the lights over here to turn blue. It'll be a solid blue, and then you'll release the program button. So we're going to go ahead and do that now and see how it works. So go ahead and hold this down and then plug it in, and released on solid blue. And then we'll go for the next step. All right, so I just want to show you guys that if you do end up missing the color blue for whatever reason, you can wait for the colors to cycle. It'll cycle through red and amber as well. So we'll go ahead and hold the button again and insert our 4-pin, and I'll show you what that looks like as it cycles through. There's blue, red, amber, blue and red. We'll release it. If you pull this plug out, it just resets it. So hold it down, plug it in, and we can let it cycle through all the colors, blue and red, and then back to solid blue, release, and then we can go ahead and plug back in all of our other connectors. Plug our 20 pin, and then we got our red connector here, and our white connector here. Now that they're all plugged back in, we'll go to our next step. All right, we are now going to complete the can portion of the programming. So what we're going to do is take the key, put it into the ignition, and then turn it to run. The blue light should turn off, and then should come back and start flashing. It'll start flashing blue like that. We can shut the key off, pull the key back out of the ignition, and that portion is done. I'll show you what we do next. All right, so for this part, we're going to program the keys. This is where you're going to need both factory keys for this setup. We're going to start by unplugging only the 4-pin data pin right here. We are going to hold down the program button again, and we're going to release it on red, and then we'll go into programming the keys. So holding it down, plug it in, blue, red, we released. And now what we're going to do, we do not want to press that program button again until we are done. We're going to show it both keys. You have to do it fairly quickly, so kind of set the keys up where you can grab them and swap them out quick. What we're going to do is show the vehicle both keys. We're going to insert each one into the ignition, switch it to run, let it sit for a second, shut the key off, pull it out, and then swap to the other key, do the same process. And once you've done that with both keys, press the red or the program button on top of the Evo controller, and then it should be complete after that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and insert both keys. We're going to do one first, key on, key off, swap it to the next one, and then press that red button. You have to do it as quickly as possible, and then the controller will finish programming. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. And swap to the other one. Press the button. So we got it programmed after. The red light will flash a couple times after pressing it, and then it'll flash through a couple other colors. Once it does that, the programming is complete. All the dash lights and everything have shut off, and we should be able to start the truck now with our 3-lock press. So we'll go ahead and try that. And then you can see the controller lit up. Truck started and it runs. So see the RPMs there. Should be able to shut the truck off with the brake press. Truck shuts down properly. And then we'll go ahead and try the other key here. 3 locks. Truck started again. And now we can also shut the truck off with pressing the lock button 3 times as well. Go ahead and make sure that works. And the truck shut off. So now we can clean up all of our wiring down here. Our remote start is installed and working properly, and we're good to go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the wiring here. I'm gonna actually pull this plate off so we can clean it up, make it look nice for the customer. Just 4 8mm bolts, pull this plate off, and then we'll tie up the wiring harness. I'll kind of show you what that looks like when I'm done. Alright, we got the wiring all cleaned up back there. It's all zip tied back there as best we can. I didn't have any wire loom or anything like that, and I ran out of electrical tape, so I couldn't wrap it all to make it look nice, but it's not going to rub on anything. It's not going to make any noise with the controller rattling around. So we'll go ahead and put the steering column back together, just the same way you took it apart. I'll show you what that looks like when I get it back together. Alright, got the dash all put back together. Got the bezel back on. All 3 bolts are back in. Got this lower panel with all 3 of its bolts. And the OBD2 connector hooked back up. Truck's good to go. Now that we got it all done, we'll go ahead and shut the door here. I'll go ahead and give it another try with starting it. So we'll come around here. As soon as I figure out what I do with the keys. Alright, so we got the truck all closed up now. We're going to try it one more time here. 3 locks. 1, 2. Just like that. 3 more locks. We'll shut the truck off. Works like it's supposed to. So I'll give you guys an update here in a week or so. Make sure she's still working good. But so far, I think for the price of the kit, it's like $180. I think it was well worth it. It wasn't too hard to put in. Something anyone can easily do with a little bit of knowledge. So thanks for watching.